Hey guys, my name's Ravi Sharma and I'm the founder and buyer's agent here at Search Property. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode of Search Property TV. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you'll know exactly when I drop the next video. On this channel, I talk about the Australian real estate, the economy, and financial independence. Of course, creating passive income is so important, so how to do that through Australian property. There's not many of us out here on YouTube that are talking about Australian real estate, so I definitely urge you to join the community by subscribing down below. Now, this is also an amazing time to get you to jump on to the private Facebook group, where we talk about Australian real estate, passive income, and we're looking at how to increase our savings and financial literacy. So you get so much more content from me and access to me. You can ask me anything, and we're really trying to build that community. So there's a link in the description below, or you can simply search on Facebook, passive income and Australian real estate tips, and I'll be sure to accept you into the group. With so much speculation around what lending restrictions will look like in 2021, I want to break down 5 ways as to how you can increase your borrowing capacity. It is always the fundamental reason you will not be able to create a large portfolio. And a large portfolio of property doesn't mean you can go around and brag. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but essentially it gives you more choice. It gives you financial freedom and independence to really go down the path and say, well, you know what, if I want to work part-time, I really can. So with this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways, and stay till the end because I'm going to break down my summary of exactly what I'm doing to increasing my borrowing capacity and how you can take advantage of it too, because this is something that you need to really pay attention to because brokers won't tell you. So number 1, create a budget and stick to it. Yes, it can sound very simple, but very hard to do. I find it so interesting that the amount of people I'm talking to on a daily basis as to how they fall so far away from their budget that they initially had in place. The reason for this is that they're not feeling like they're accountable. And this could be you. So listen carefully. By simply creating an Excel or a Word document of everything that you think you may spend, the best way to actually budget, I found, is that go through your last 3 months statements, and whether that be your credit card, debit card, or your savings account, and just look through every transaction properly. Generally what I find is as soon as you go, hey, I'm going to create a budget now, I better be careful, you're generally not spending the exact amount that you normally would be. So what I do is I go backwards and say, okay, if I want to create a budget today, I'm going to look at the last 3 months and see what exactly I'm spending and how can I reduce and trim the fat. So really here is something so important, because when you're looking at borrowing capacities, well, when a bank looks at it, they're really going to ask you the same thing, which is give me the last 3 to 6 months of statements. And that's really going to reveal the right story. So you could sit there with a broker and say, hey, look, Mr. Broker, I only spend about this much on food and this much on health and insurance. When the bank actually goes through your statements and they look through line by line exactly what you're spending it on, they might just come back with saying, well, you actually decided you wanted to have a party at your house and you spent, $120 the other week on pizza. And then, oh, you also went to Uber Eats that week and because it was your birthday, but we don't know that. We don't know if that's not what you spend every week. And essentially that's what's happening at the moment. So without having any surprises, go back and look at your last 6 months and see exactly what you're spending. Number 2, use cash, not card. So what I say to people, and is definitely something that can help you, is if you know you're looking towards getting a loan and you know that the banks are all going to look at your bank statements, well, if there are certain things that you need to make purchases of, like let's say for instance, your partner's birthday's coming up, generally you're not spending $200-300 on a gift. Now, if that appears on your statement, that's going to formulate part of your monthly living expenses. Now, that's not a true reflection. So what I say is, if you know ahead of time that that's where you're heading, then definitely go just take out that cash and then start your 3 months from there as to what the banks will take. Now, some banks will take 3 months, some will take 6 months, but essentially you can really reduce your living expenses this way because realistically, you're still spending that money and you're using your cash, but it's not actually getting calculated on your statements. And of course, we're not lying, but essentially if there are those big purchases, you can definitely avoid having a unnecessary conversation and explaining to a broker or a home loan specialist of how it was your partner's gift and I don't actually spend this every month. So I find keep it straightforward, use cash whenever possible, and avoid the card. Number 3, repay your debts. So what I'm talking about is really unproductive debt here. So we're talking about car loans, we're talking about personal loans, and we're talking about credit cards. Now, something else to mention here, and it's been massive throughout 2020, is everyone going, hey, wait, I don't need a credit card. I can just put it on Afterpay. That's gonna affect you big time, so definitely don't be doing that. But essentially, when you're looking at getting a home loan, they're gonna look at these levels of debt and the credit limit they have, and that's when they're gonna start going, well, you can't borrow because you still have to make the repayments for your car loan or for your personal loans. Everyone's situation's different, but generally what I'm seeing is you get from 20 to 25-year-olds and they just love to go, hey, you know what? I can actually afford a new car because I can go get a car loan, and that means I don't really need the money up front. This by far is the most stupid decision you will ever make. What people don't understand is that that is such unproductive debt. And what I'm seeing now and having conversations with people that are like, hey, you know what? I've been working for a while. I've saved up enough money. I want to now invest. Hey, Ravi, can we invest? And we start looking at their finances and we realize they've got car loan. And the car loan doesn't come at like 1% or 2%. It's generally a lot higher. So what ends up happening is you're now plugging away money, unproductive debt that's costing you a higher interest for a depreciating asset. Do you know how stupid that sounds? Now, of course, I know some people may take offense to this, but you're not on this channel to have someone sugarcoat this for you. I'm really here trying to educate and upgrade your financial literacy. So if you want real advice or you want real suggestions as to how you can do this, that would be the number one thing. Get that car off your account statement. You need to repay it or you need to sell it. Get it out of here. It is terrible. And for me, I actually was driving around a $2,000 car when I came out of high school, and then throughout uni, I probably upgraded to a $5,000 car. And now, obviously, you know, with my previous business, I had to upgrade. But even then, I'm driving around a $15,000 car, and that's after I had purchased about 4 properties. So guys, there's no need to get a really expensive car so you can flaunt that on Instagram. What you want is real wealth, not just wealth that's perceived so you can post on Instagram. With personal loans or Afterpay, it's the same story, guys. You can't be spending money you don't have. Now, this is not financial advice, but it is common sense. If you are thinking that you don't have the money today, but you really want to get this, you know, PS5 or you want to get an iPhone, it means you haven't earned to be in a position to actually purchase those things. So don't do it. Essentially, even $1,000 of unproductive debt could affect your borrowing capacity by up to $50,000 or $60,000. So this is something you really need to address, and you need to address it ASAP. Number 4, close the credit card or reduce your limit. Something most people don't actually know is that even though you've got a credit card and you happen to go, no, Ravi, don't worry about the credit card because I actually repay that at the end of every month. And now good on you because that's what I do. However, if you don't actually have a strategy around having a credit card, then there's no point in having one because the bank doesn't look at going, well, oh, okay, here, Sam. Sam actually pays it off every month, so it doesn't matter he's got, a $6K credit limit debt on there. He's actually fine. No, the bank's actually going to go, well, the credit limit is $6K. That means if tomorrow you decided to spend $6,000, you actually could. So that means we're going to put it into our calculator that you actually have debt of $6,000. Now that's unfair, yes, have a cry about it, but unfortunately that's the system. And so we need to work with the system, not against it. So what I say is if you need a credit card, then reduce that limit. If you're only spending $1,000 or $2,000 a month, why would you need a $6,000 or $15,000 credit card? I've seen someone with a $20,000 credit card and they would always repay it back, but they only ever spent $1,500 a month. And that was because some guy at the bank decided they wanted to make some more commissions and they said, hey, no, why don't you get a credit card limit of this much? And so that's something you definitely want to avoid. Number 5, consider refinancing and fixed rates. Look, it's pretty simple. The lower the rates, the lower the repayment. Because what they're going to say is that if you are now repaying your loan and it used to be 3%, but now it's actually 2.5%, every dollar counts. It really comes down to how these calculators work. And it comes down to how much they think you're actually going to be able to afford for the new loan. So if you are already looking at, say, a loan that you have existing, and it seems to be at like 3.5 or 3.6%, now I want to go and take on new debt, they will look at the existing loan and say, well, you're already paying this much, and now we have to calculate that as part of your monthly expenses. However, if you actually just looked at refinancing, now bank rates are so low at the moment and they're about to get lower, so you can really take advantage of this. But if you refinance to a lower rate and in the same sort of application, they may actually increase your borrowing capacity. Now, the other thing you could do is look at fixed rates. Maybe you're happy with your bank and you actually don't want to change or mix around anything. You may just look at even a 1-year fixed rate. Now, the thing is, the 1-year and 2-year and 3-year fixed rates that so many banks are now the same, which is unheard of. It means that you can really take advantage for the short term, get whatever you need to get done, and then be able to cross over into a variable rate or even refinance to another bank. But essentially, by reducing the amount of repayments you have, because you've got a lower interest rate, you're actually going to increase your borrowing capacity significantly. This also actually applies to the new purchase. So you might go, you know what, I want to have a variable rate. Now the variable rate might be 3.1%, but if you can actually get a fixed rate and it's 2.6%, they're going to say, well, the cost to actually hold this new loan is actually significantly less, which means we can allow you to borrow more. And this is something that you really need to get your head around. And if it's something that you are unsure of, or you don't really know who to speak to about it, then you definitely need to hit me up in an email. Down below, you'll find Ravi at searchpropertyau.com.au. At the moment, we don't have any strategy sessions. I'm not sure when you're watching this, but as of recording, we're in November of 2020, and unfortunately, I don't have any strategy sessions left. I do have a priority list, and that's also almost at 50 people. So if you do want to get around to booking in that strategy call and getting your head around what exactly you could do in 2021, then you need to reach out. And the best way to do that is simply email me. Definitely do not call me, because there are so many things happening in my world right now, and I've got commitments to my clients, and I'm also taking active bookings that are already in place for the rest of the year. Now, here's the bonus tip. This is it. Right? This is the stuff that the broker may not tell you. And this is where I really want to address something that could really help you take your portfolio to the next level. You might be stuck. You might be going, look, I've tried everything, Ravi. I don't think you're going to help. If you've stayed all the way through, this is where you get the real value. Now, if you're here all the way through, drop me a like so that the YouTube algorithm can push it out to more people. Because look, more people need to hear this sort of stuff. Because if more people know about this financial literacy, they're actually able to take ownership of their lives and then make financial choices best for their family, which could in turn lead to happiness. So definitely drop me a like. Now, something you may not know is that some brokers actually really love particular BDMs and business development managers, and some banks specifically. So I know brokers that will literally send every single deal straight to one bank. They'll show you all the options and they'll say, look, Westpac can do this, NAB can do this, CBA can do this. But in fact, they actually really like Westpac and the BDM that works there, because they've got that relationship. So what will end up happening is they may actually just push towards one bank. Now, the problem with that is that from your end, every bank has a different servicing calculator. This is in turn why brokers actually just want to deal with one bank, because a bank could change their servicing calculator 5 or 6 times a year. Do you really think a broker wants to sit there every 2 to 3 months and learn this new servicing calculator? No, I don't think so. So what they're doing is they're pushing you towards one bank in particular that they like the system, and it might be the right product for you. However, if they don't put through your numbers on each different calculator, you're not going to know the true borrowing capacity that you have available to you. So here's my suggestion, is that even though you may have the lowest rate available at a particular bank, I would still get the broker or go to another bank to really figure out what your borrowing capacity is. This is something I do and have always done in that process of trying to get loans. I will always look at all banks possible, and I don't even care if it's a second tier bank or lending institution, because at the end of the day, the problem is you can't get a loan. The solution is get a loan. Now, it sounds pretty logical, but so many people are emotional about going, no, I only want this bank, and then find out they can't actually borrow. They just automatically think that they can't borrow anywhere. Now, you might be victim to this, so listen carefully. Parts of a servicing calculator for a bank is it includes different buffers, and they also take different amounts of rental income and your salary and commissions. So for example, a bank could go and take 70% as rental income, like say CBA, but equally you could go to like Westpac or NAB and they actually may take 80% of your rental income. Now, this may not really affect you if you've got one or even two properties, but it does make a difference. And especially when you've got a larger portfolio, that's when it becomes super difficult to actually borrow more for, more properties. So if you've got that rental income even bumped up by 10%, that is massive. So definitely look and reach out to different banks. And if you need help, definitely reach out to me. I'm here to educate. I'm here to help. Whether or not you're actually coming on as a client for the buyer's agency or not, I'm really here to help, and I want to get that financial education out there. Now guys, before you decide to head off, because we're at the end of this video, I really hope you found some value here. I've got two things to say. One is definitely subscribe if you haven't. I've got about 67% of people watching that actually haven't subscribed. Now, the importance of that is not so much the numbers, it actually helps support the channel to actually allow me to create more content for you. So if that's something that you really want to take advantage of, then please do that. And secondly, share it with someone. This isn't information that is readily available anyway, and you just don't know if your best friend or your cousin is really looking at trying to educate themselves in this process. They may not even know this channel exists. So why hide it? Why be selfish and actually share it with them? I really do appreciate all the love and support so far. I look forward to bringing you so much more content in the coming weeks. I thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and drop me a like. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks guys.